have a 1924 Model T, and this old girl's been sitting for about 74 years. She was parked around 1950, and well, we're gonna get her running and driving on the highway today and endanger everybody around because the brakes on these things ain't that great. But all in all, she's not in too bad a shape for sitting that long. The termites done quit holding hands on this door, so when you open it, it kind of falls off like that. But we can address that. Well, it might not be termites, it may just be dry rot, but we'll have to do something about that. But the rest of the wood seems halfway solid. The motor is locked up solid. Looks like she's gonna need some new tires. The last time she was on the road and registered was 1950 in Minnesota. I got it in Indiana, so it made a trip 30 years ago or so to Indiana, and it was stored in a barn there. Underneath the hood, we do have the little old 4-cylinder. The buzz coils are still underneath the dash, which is a good thing, but I do have a new set of them, well, rebuilt set that we use for the Fordson tractor, because 99.9% of the time, they're no good after they set. And here's the little 4-cylinder. I'm gonna go ahead and take the hood off of here, and we'll look this motor over real good. The only thing I've looked at is that the hand crank won't turn, so that 99% of the time means she's locked up. The hood out of the way, we can take a good look at the motor. On this side, you can see, well, the radiator hoses and everything are there. This pulley moves just a little bit, but I think it's just slack in it because the hand crank, when you pull on it, the motor will not move a lick. Yeah, it's locked up solid. Over on this side, we got all this fancy stuff. The carburetor's still there, the plugs are in it. And on these, you cannot, there's no oil dipstick. You gotta go underneath, and there's a little valve you turn, and if it leaks oil out, it's got oil in it. Well, it's got enough in it if it leaks out the top valve. And the bottom one, let's see here, if we can find it here. Here we go. Right here's the valves to check your oil. They did sell a kit you could put on these things. Well, they're covered in grease, so maybe there is oil in it. Well, I'm gonna grab a pair of pliers. We'll turn that, see if there's any oil in it. We'll be able to turn that, and oil should come out of there. It looks like there's probably no oil in it. And this is the one to make sure you have enough oil in it, the top one. But I didn't figure either of them would leak anything out. And that may be why she's locked up. The oil may have leaked out of it. We'll go ahead and pull this drain pan plug here in a minute. But I don't think she'll be too hard to get loose. They did say 30 years ago when they put it in the barn, the motor was turning over. And it was parked before that, so it's maybe only 30 years locked up. It's probably just drawn some moisture down in the cylinders, but we're gonna pull the spark plugs out of it here in a second, put some acetone transmission fluid, PB blaster down in it, let her set, and it shouldn't take too much to get her spinning over and hopefully driving down the highway. Like I spoke too soon, it is pouring out water. It just started doing that, so I said there was nothing in there. It just took it a little while to think about its decisions and I guess start leaking. But that's just straight water. At least it ain't leaking out of this one yet. It may just be plugged up. Let's try to clean that one out too. Well, it ain't leaking out of that one. Nope, it is now. It's starting to leak out of that one too. That may not be a good sign. Turn her back and, oh, that's oil. So up high there's oil, down low it's just straight water. Oil don't smell too bad, I guess. Well, I'm gonna let this drain. I'll let the oil drain in one bucket, let the water drain in the other. Looks like the water's starting to change the oil here, so that's a good sign. It's had water in the oil pan, but some diesel fuel, it should fix that problem. Well then, it's just straight water so far. Oh, there's some chunks. Oh, it's just straight chunks up in there. Oh yeah. That's not even oil, that's just rusty water. Huh. May not be a good thing. Lot of chunks. Oh, there's some oil right there. Maybe we'll get some oil out of it. There's a little bit there. Oh yeah, there we go. That's what we want, all this. Right there. It's about turned back to dinosaurs, but it's still oily and there was hardly any in it. Maybe it's clogged up again. It is not clogged up. There was maybe a quart and a half in there and probably 2 gallons or 3 gallons of water. We'll let this do its thing, and here after a while we'll wash this out with some diesel, put the plug back in there, and go from there. Engine's still leaking water and performance chunks out of the oil pan. Let's see what type of plugs these are. We may just reuse these if they're in halfway decent shape. That's a gold metal plug, it says. And boy, they ain't been out of here in a long time. Even when it was running, because the dadgum grease is just piled around it. Let's see here. All of them are like that. I don't think they're rusted off, but there's quite a bit of rust down around them. There we go. Didn't get as hot as I thought it was, but at least it still sizzled a little bit. Okay, reinforcement of a cheater bar here, so hopefully we can break her loose. Oh yeah. Hopefully that plug ain't. It's still a little warm. Keep all that junk from getting in there. Oh no. Okay, we're gonna pull the head off of this thing. You can see how bad this plug is, and oh, about to knock y'all down. Down inside there is quite a bit of scaly rust. I'm gonna say the whole crankcase got full. Somehow a whole bunch of water's got in this thing at one point. Like a whole bunch. I'm gonna go ahead and get the other plugs out, then we'll show you guys what it looks like inside, and hopefully it's not too bad. But it ain't looking great. Went ahead and took the other plugs out. Number 2 plug broke off, but you can see cylinder 4 don't look too bad. Neither does cylinder 3. There's a bunch of carbon, but nothing major. This one, hardly anything. But now cylinder number 1, you can see there's a pile of rust there, and there's some of that red rust and like scale rust on top of that piston. So the head does have to come off. Had to come off anyway with the plug breaking off, but we'll vacuum all that out of there and stuff. But it shouldn't take too long to get this head off. We'll have to undo a radiator hose and undo the belt there, or maybe we can just leave that hanging. So I went ahead and took all them bolts loose. We did leave the rear 2 because they won't come out unless you pull the engine forward or push the cab back. So we got them loose, but they're just hanging in there. I think, there we go. That came loose fairly easy. That's the difference between head bolts and head studs. Head studs always make it a pain in the butt, and bolts, normally you can pull them apart pretty easy. There we go. Do the wiggle wiggle, and she is loose. And I hurt the head gasket a little back there. That's okay. It'll fix. Just like that. And not really. We'll have to do some work on this one. Well, number one is a little crispy. Just a little, okay? A lot. She'll come loose though, she's fine. All the other ones don't look too bad, but number one, she got a little bit of water, moisture, corrosion, a lot of it in there. It ain't too bad up top. It may not want to come loose down there, but we'll figure it out. This is why the old girl is locked up. As you can see, that's quite a bit of rust. The other ones don't look real bad. But number one has had a lot of water in there. You can see the green corrosion around here from the head gasket and from, well, there being water in it. The valves are also more than likely frozen solid shut. Most of the valves there, we'll have to clean up the valve seat. And down in there, I mean, there's quite a bit of rust. We'll get the shop vac out in a second and vacuum all that out. I'm going to put some muriatic acid down in there for just a little while before we start working on it with penetrating fluids, because we need to eat a little bit of that rust out, so we'll have a little bit better shot of getting her loose. Also, these valves may be what's sticking it, because when a valve gets stuck like that, it will not move the engine over, and you'll end up breaking the timing gear off the camshaft on, at least on the Model A's. I'm not too sure if these have that same Bakelite gear or not. You don't want none of this stuff on you or to breathe any of it in. And it is highly corrosive, so anything the smoke touches or the fumes off of it, it'll rust in about 2.9 seconds. There we go. Let the smoke clear here for a minute. It wasn't a bad head gasket or water getting in there. It was a mouse crawling up the exhaust, or multiple ones. They crawled all the way up that tailpipe from way back there, made it through the muffler if it has one, and you can see there's part of him. That's his ear. He's been in here a while, and the rest of them's down in there. Rat pee, mouse pee, all that stuff is super corrosive, and that's why that looked so bad and all that was rusted. So the thing to do now is we're going to let her cook for a little while longer. We'll probably going to have to replace this valve because I did pry on it with a crowbar, and I think it is almost rusted in half at the base there. And this one here is probably just welded to the block with rust. I'll get back with you guys in a little bit. We're about to clean all that out of there, then fill it with our acetone and transmission fluid mix for the night, because we don't want to leave that in there eating on the pistons and block too long, or we'll have problems. All that acid out of there, and well, it don't look too bad. It does leave them little speckle marks in the cylinder walls. Nothing major though. The oil will fill that in, so it won't cause it to smoke or anything. We're gonna go ahead and spray everything down with PB Blaster, or this thing will flash rust in about 2.9 seconds. And I mean everything. If acid even thought about touching it, you got to spray it down, because the fumes off of that even will rust everything. We used all the acetone and transmission fluid on the Mack truck on last video, so I've put about a can of PB Blaster in between all 4 cylinders and a little bit of brake fluid, and we're going to top it off with some diesel, and that right there should help her come free. Hopefully in the morning we come out here and we can roll her over. But this will do for tonight. At least we get it soaking with something. If she won't come loose, we'll go get some acetone and stuff, because we need it anyway. Just got junk on it, I think. There we go. Come on. Come on. Aha! Just like that. She is no longer locked up. that's good. Motor's no longer locked up. Starter's working. You just had to spin it around. They get a little bit of corrosion on the armature, and then they don't work. Let's see. Don't look too bad. It cleaned that cylinder up real good. All the valves seem to be working. This in here, it's a little rusted. We may have to replace that one. This thingy here is doing the belt thing. So next order of business, we're gonna clean up all this junk, and we do have to get that plug out of the head. Our new plugs will be here tomorrow. But she turns over. Guess the next thing to do is see if the clutch works before we go ahead and get some tires for it, because we've ran into some problems where the clutches don't work in these sometimes. This is my next best idea. The first time trying to get this on there didn't go as planned, so I now have it held on here with a few bolts, so hopefully we can turn this thing upside down and spin it around and set it into place, and it'll hopefully stay together. There we go. I think that was the way we should have done it the first go around. I might be wrong though. Am I wrong? I don't know. Let's see. If we would have pulled the engine forward or took the cab off of this thing, it would have been a lot easier. It's on here, it just ain't on here. Go. Finally. Okay, that one's in there. That's a start. Is this one going? Oh yeah. It just took a few wiggles. This one going? I hope. We got the head torque down, we got the intake on there and all that fancy stuff, but I was wondering if this thing had the buzz coils in it or what shape they were in, and well, I looked up underneath the dash here and they are gone. Luckily, I have a set of buzz coils that we bought for the Fordson tractor. They're rebuilt, so they'll work in this thing. We have to take the seats out because this car smells way too bad like rat pee and stuff to lay on the seats to slide them in there, and we do have to find out where the power wire for these things goes, because there should be a wire that runs on the bottom of them that gives them all power, and who knows where it is. It's probably out here somewhere, but we'll figure that out here in a minute, get back with you guys, and hopefully we'll have her running here shortly and maybe driving around. We're not going to get this one on the highway. We was, but with the state of the dry rot in the wood, it probably wouldn't be the best idea. You guys over here, I can pull on this a whole lot easier. Okay, there was one of them. And they ain't working now. Okay, that ain't a good sign. It's not getting good. Okay. Okay. I think they're all working. So, we need to find a better way to hook that to the battery. And I'm gonna go grab a cable so we can jump this thing to the starter. And we're gonna see if she'll try this again. I'm not sure what that thumping noise is yet, but we'll figure it out here in a minute. Put some gas in here too. Just for good measure. It's leaking out the bottom anyway. Now, I think it's the starter, is what I think it is. Ooh. It's a starter for sure. Let's adjust the timing here. See what we get. Gotta get that drip just right. Okay. Come on, old girl. She's trying. Woo! Right there is what you call a fire. The exhaust, you know, what it did was, it made fire. We're gonna go ahead and, we probably ought to go get a bucket of water. You guys watch this and make sure it don't go nowhere. Yell if it starts catching everything on fire. There we go. Nothing a little bit of water can't put out. There. Now she should run, since she done caught on fire and all that fancy stuff. There we go, come on. There we go, come on, girl. She's a trying. There we go. Okay. I think it tried putting itself in gear. Oh yeah, it's in gear. Okay. Let's see how warm she got. The exhaust is warm, but the block itself is not warm. All that smoke you see is just junk burning out of it. We'll start her up here again in a minute, but she did try to jump into gear, so that's where our problem arose. Start being stuck in gear problem, I just jacked the back end of it up and hopefully it don't fall off the jack. Maybe I can keep it running and get it out of gear somehow. that sizzling's the stuff that's pushing out on the side of the head gasket, hitting the exhaust, and we're gonna let her sit here for a while and cool off, fill her with some water, and that should get the rings back to life. The rear wheels keep spinning because, well, it is stuck in gear. While we're waiting for it to cool down, we hooked the cooling system back up. I'm gonna try to figure that out. The buzz cools are doing what they should. We cleaned up the box so they'd work, but I think all that water was in here in the transmission and it's got something messed up in there. Because as soon as it went into gear, I cannot get it out of gear. I've messed with it, and well, we're gonna try to get her driving, but we may have to get her running good, slowly lower the jack, and kind of let it drive itself, then get in there and try to keep her driving. Looks like she got by a pellet gun at one point. But so far so good, she's holding water. The only problem is right here, because you can see it's got like a BB hole in it right there. And that's what happened to all the glass in the car. You can see it's been shot. So somebody hit the radiator at least once with it. Let's see. Doesn't look like it. Oh, it's leaking here too. Oh, it's leaking there too. It's got quite a few holes in it. But she's holding water for now. So we got the garden hose back here so we can add water. We're gonna go ahead and fire her up. Let her run with some water, and well, she's leaking out the back. So the head gasket's weeping back there. That's a problem, but not too big of a problem. We're gonna fire her up, let her run for a while, and we may even move some stuff out of the way and set it down and see if it will move underneath its own power. I cannot figure the clutch thing out. I've messed with it for a while longer, and it just stuck in gear, I guess, for now. Maybe she'll fire up like this. That's ridiculous. is something wrong with that transmission. It did come out of second gear and go into neutral, and now it won't go into any gear at all. So I guess it being full of water for, you know, a good 50, 60 years did not do it any favors. But we got her running. We didn't get this in driving. Next week we got one. We'll get running, driving, and on the highway. We've already got tires ordered for next week's video. And we should be posting it next Thursday. This one you should see on a Friday or so. But at least we got her running. She runs pretty good for the shape she's in and the shape the transmission's in. I'm not real common with these Model T transmissions. If it was a normal jiggle stick, I'd know how to fix it. But these are kind of a little goofy. But it did go into neutral, then I put it into first gear and it just dies. I started it back up, gave it more fuel, let it down on the ground, gave it all the gas it taken, it just dies. It's not in the rear end, it is somewhere in the transmission. But I'm gonna show you guys real quick what these buzz coils look like before we end the video, because everyone's always asking. That buzzing noise is you hear when I'm cranking it over. A lot of people when we got the Fortson tractor running ask, it's the points on these bouncing up and down, and that's what makes you spark when they, basically that makes you spark, and them arcing back and forth, that's what breaks it. And basically it's a coil and a set of points all together, and when they break that, they're sending out the spark. It just does it really, really fast, and they bounce up and down. That's what all the buzzing's about, and that's why they're called buzz coils. But thank you guys for watching. We got her running. Sadly, we couldn't get her driving because she's got some transmission issues. I'm gonna say that's why she was parked. But in the next video, we're gonna get one running, driving, and on the highway. But thank you guys for watching. Please consider leaving a like or maybe subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.